All right, welcome to this session on Google Keep. My name is Lindsay Sutton, and I'm the ITRT at Stafford High School. And my colleague Jennifer Birdsell is helping me out today. She is the ITRT at Brook Point High School, and she will be live in the chat if you have any questions as I go through this presentation. I've got my slideshow here to keep me organized, so hopefully I don't ramble. But if you have any questions, feel free to add them to the chat. You can always email me after this session at suttonlh@staffordschools.net. And of course, if you're viewing this after the live broadcast, feel free to email me at any time with any questions. So I'm really excited to talk to you about Google Keep today because this is something that I've been kind of spreading the word about around Stafford High School recently. It's one of those Google apps that is less well known. And so when I go into classrooms, I always poll the students and see how many of them are even aware that it exists. And usually it's like one. And I ask what they use it for. And a couple of kids will say like to-do list or something like that. And this is a great tool that you can use personally, but you can also use in a classroom if you're a teacher. So I hope to show you some of the cool features of Keep. So let me go next slide. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about in the next 20-ish minutes. Different types of notes that you can take in Google Keep, the 3 different ways that you can organize them. Again, pretty simple, so it's an easy thing for students to pick up and start using immediately. How Keep integrates with other Google apps, and then as I talk, I'm going to be giving you some examples of personal uses, classroom uses, and then I'll talk to you about how you can use the archive feature in Google Keep to save and kind of hide some of the things that you may be working on and don't need, again, until later. So let me back out of this. I want to show you how to get to Keep. So if I go to my Google homepage, Google Keep is one of your apps. So if you go to your apps menu or your waffle, and usually have to scroll down to more, Keep is an app. Oh, I just realized I need to switch accounts. There we go. All right, I'm going to scroll down until I find Keep. It's the yellow icon with the light bulb. All right. And I'm using my other account so you can see a blank screen and not be overwhelmed by all the notes I actually have in here. So when you look at Google Keep, think of this as like a digital display board, pin board, a place where you can put sticky notes. Okay, so I currently have a couple of sticky notes around my office that keep me on track, remind me, you know, things I need to remember to do at the beginning of the day, whatnot. But this is actually a better place to keep those notes because I can access Google Keep not only from this computer that I'm standing in front of, but also my phone because there's a free app. And if I download that, I can access any of my notes from anywhere. And this is one of those apps where that's extremely useful because you may create a to-do list for yourself and you may need to access that to-do list when you're not at school or you're not in front of a computer or a laptop. So I would highly recommend downloading the free Google Keep app, especially if you think this is something that you might like to use. All right, so very, very simple. And I have presented this to students in about 10 minutes and I've seen them up and running with this. So this is one of those great tools that you can present and get them using right away. So up at the top of the page, you see take a note, and I can just click on that and you see I have a space for a title. So I'm just going to title it Digital Learning Day, and I'm going to try to spell things correctly. That would be helpful. And I'm just going to say, don't forget Google Keep session. All right, something like that. You just get the idea. When I hit done, it appears on my wall and it looks just like a sticky note. Okay, so very, very basic to just type some text and add a note to your wall. And when I log in, if I just need to remind myself of something I need to do for that day, or I'm taking notes on something. Maybe I'm sitting in a faculty meeting and I'm taking some quick notes about things that I need to remember for later. I can do that, and here it is on my wall. All right, let me just show you the other kinds of notes that you can take, and then we'll talk about ways that you can organize them better. So notice that I just clicked right in the middle, take a note section, and that was basically just like writing a quick phrase on a sticky note. If I click over here to new list, I actually get a list, and this is where people that enjoy making to-do lists really like Google Keep a lot. So to do, all right, let's see. What do I need to do? Well, I need to, after school, let's say, do laundry. That's exciting. I need to cook dinner, and maybe I need to grade some papers. All right, just in case I might get home and forget any of those things, I might make myself a little to-do list. I clicked done, and there it is on my wall. All right, what I really like about this is, and this will make some of you type A people really happy, when I am done with something, I can check it off. So let's say I did the laundry, and I check it off, and it's got that nice line through it, and I feel that sense of accomplishment, but I can still see the task down here at the bottom as it has been checked off. Okay, so that's a to-do list. The other things I can add is a note with an image. So when I click on new image, it brings up, it's searching my computer for a picture. All right, so let's just say I need to save this image for something later, and it is loading. That's fine. I'm just gonna give it a title. All right, and this is just we'll pretend I'm reminding myself to change my profile picture to this advertisement for today, which I hope you're enjoying. All right, so if for any reason I needed to save a picture, for example, when we we'll use this for student projects, and we talk to them about how you can use this for note-taking. Students that might be preparing to create a presentation can use this to save their images all in one spot that they can then use later. I will tell you there is there are some size limitations on the images, so sometimes they'll find this great picture that they want to use, which of course we teach them to search for fair use images, but they might be too large of a file to keep here. So sometimes they have to keep them in their Google Drive, but that's just kind of an FYI if you happen to use this with images. The last way that I can take a note is with the drawing tool. I'm currently on a desktop right now, so without a touch screen, so this is not as useful for me, but it does pop up this whiteboard space here where I'm just gonna draw something here so you get the idea. If I were on my phone or a tablet or a laptop with a touch screen, I might use this to make a quick sketch. Maybe I think better by drawing something out and taking a note, and notice I can, once I'm done with that, I can give it a title, and you get the idea. All right. So those of you, like I said, with a touch screen might find better uses for that. So these are our 4 types of notes. And I want you to notice that I can hover over and click on any of these and edit them at any time. And you'll see Google always gives you that nice notification that it's saving everything you're doing, so you don't have to worry about where's the save button. It's always saving, and it tells me when I last edited it in case I need to know that. So if I needed to add to my note, I could and click done, and it would display back with my edits. You'll notice that as I hover over here, I've got a couple of options. So let me talk about those here. The first thing is I can set up a reminder for myself, which is helpful. And I have tested this out with some things that I needed to do outside of school that I knew I might forget when I got home and got into, mom mindset. If you've got the Google Keep app on your phone, you will get a notification that'll pop up and remind you if you click here and set a reminder for yourself. And I find that really handy. The other thing I can do is add a collaborator to my note, and that just allows that person to add to the note. So as high school ITRTs, we use Google Keep all the time when we are planning meetings. So somebody will create the note and call it February meeting and add us all to it, and then we can contribute the points that we want to go over, the different presentations we want to make, and so on, or just questions that we have for the group. And I can type in anybody's name, just like with any of our Google apps, and I could add Jennifer Birdsell to this note. And if I did, I hit save, that would send her a notification, and then she could jump on and add to my note. And just notice that this is note specific. It is not, I'm not adding somebody to my entire wall. And as of right now, I do not believe there's a way to do that. So it's note by note, okay? The other things I can do, I can change the color of my note. So that might be a way to distinguish different types of notes, okay? So for me personally, I might have some kind of color code. As I've been in classrooms and presenting this to students, I've talked to them about note-taking for research. So I tell them that they should come up with some kind of maybe color coding scheme for maybe different types of sources or topics or something that means something to them, and create a key as well for that note. All right. I can also go and add an image to this note if I found something that for some reason pertained to it and I wanted to add it. You can always add an image later. I'm going to talk about archiving at the end, so I'll skip that. And notice I do have some more options. I can totally delete this note if I don't want to save it. I'll talk to you about labels in a minute. I can add a drawing, make a copy. I can add checkboxes to this if I decide I really want to make it a list. And then I will talk to you about Google Docs collaboration in a moment as well. All right, so notice my note is now blue. And of course, I can change that at any time. These are our only color options. And as Monica said in the last session, you know, it's nice that Google keeps things simple. So if this is something we're using with students, they can't get caught up in the tool itself. They have to actually work on whatever the learning is at that moment. The other thing you'll notice is when I hover over a note, I've got this pin icon at the top. And you may have seen this before. If I click on this, it pins the note to the top of my wall. What's nice about that is if I start using this a lot and I have a cluttered page with lots of notes, I may lose track of something that's really important to me. So my to-do list might be something that I want to pin to the top. When I talk to students about using this with research or note-taking for a particular, maybe planning out something they're going to talk about, or just taking notes from a book they're reading or whatever, I tell them it's always good to make a to-do list for your project and pin it to the top of your wall. That way, every time you come to class or you log into this at home and you're ready to work, you don't have to spend time trying to remember where you were in the process. And so I try to guide them through, like, how can we break down this project so that you can feel like you're accomplishing things and also be focused right away when you come to class. So that's a good thing to pin. Another example of types of notes that somebody could take and pin to the top in a classroom. If we're talking research again, in whatever class, we encourage them, of course, to research and cite sources. So a works cited page or a running works cited note could be a good thing to pin to the top so you can keep track of what kind of sources you have for your project or whatnot. And I'm sure you can come up with other examples of things that you would want to see right away. I can also pin multiple notes to the top in case you were wondering. All right, so that's a way of organizing yourself as well. When I click on that again, it moves it back down. Over to the left, you'll see some different ways that I can sort and organize my Keep. I do want to talk to you about labels real quick. Labels, just like in your email, which I know Stephen talked about earlier, are ways to tag your notes and organize them a little bit better. So if I can go to edit and create a new label. I can delete the one that I already created for Digital Learning Day. I can add as many as I want. When I talk to students about, again, using Google Keep for research, I talk to them about thinking about the end product. And the product doesn't necessarily have to be a paper. It could be a Google site. It could be a Google Slides presentation. Whatever it is, they should be thinking about what are the main topics that are going to be discussed on that main product and or final product. And so I encourage them to create labels that represent each of those subtopics. And that way, what you can do is, let's go down to this note. I'm going to click my 3 dots. I'm going to add a label, and this is my only option. So I'm going to choose that. And you'll notice that my Digital Learning Day label has appeared right here. I can remove it at any time if I choose the wrong one or whatever. But how this is helpful is it allows you to focus your thinking. So let's say that I'm going to create a project based on these notes that I've taken. And I'm ready to do my project, but I need to focus on one topic at a time. When I click on that Digital Learning Day label, I'm only looking at the notes I took on that topic. And I think that's an important skill to teach our students to just kind of focus on one thing and also get themselves organized. So at the end of the project, they're not scrolling through all those notes to find the notes that they took. All right. How do I get back to the main note section? I just click up here on notes and I can see them all. Last thing I want to show you on this screen is the archive feature, which you already saw when I hover over my notes. If I click archive, what that does is it sends the note to my archive, which you may have noticed is right here, but it gets it off my wall. So let's say I'm a student and I've used this for a project and now I want to use it personally, or I want to use it for another project. And I always joke with them and say, you know, because Mrs. Sutton has gotten to more of your teachers and they're all using this, I can archive all my notes so that for project number 2, I can just focus on what I need on my wall for that particular project and organize it that way. I tell them never to go through and delete their notes because that's just not good practice anyway, and you never know if you needed to bring something back up. And if I click on my archive, you can see actually some notes that I did as an example for research. I can actually click and unarchive them and go back to my notes and they appear here. So this is what I was talking about with an example for what a works cited note could look like. And then down here under my others, just how I might take notes from a source. And this is coming from former English teacher. So that's where my brain is, but I know you can apply this and you do research in other classes as well. The last thing that I want to show you is how Google Keep integrates with your other apps. So let me show you Docs. This also works with slides as well. If I go into my Docs and open up a new doc, and I'm going to pretend that I have taken a bunch of notes in Google Keep and I am now sitting down to write a paper and I need to use those notes. Wouldn't it be nice if I could have those notes right in front of me? Well, if I go to Tools and I click Keep Notepad, let's see if this is going to load. There it goes. All right. I actually have all my notes pop up in this window over here. I can click on the 3 dots and I can add them to my document. I would need to clean this up a little bit because this isn't proper formatting. But I can also just kind of scroll through. The scribble is, of course, very helpful. And I can use these notes to write my paper. Okay, and there's our bell, which is signaling, I believe, that I am done with this session. So thank you for watching. If you have any further questions, I am happy to answer them. And I hope you're enjoying our digital learning day and that you are tuning in to our next sessions. Thank you.